Hi, I'm Jameis with Mountain View Tree Service, serving the Portland and Salem areas here in Oregon, and I'm going to be walking you through how to sharpen a chainsaw chain properly today. So the first thing that you'll want to have is safety gear like safety glasses to protect your eyes from metal shavings, and gloves so that if your hands happen to slip off while you're sharpening your chain, you don't get a cut, and it really can happen to anyone, so I highly recommend those things. So the first thing you'll want to do is have the proper size file for the chain, and that will be notified on the box that your chain comes in or on the bar itself. And if you don't have a bench mounted vise, then you can use a tailgate or a log. And what I do is I'll just lean on the chainsaw to stabilize it and then work close to the power head so that I don't have any deflection in the bar. So you want to have a nice geometry to this tooth. You want to have a steep angle. Maybe this one will be a little bit better. You want to have an angle that's steep, like a chisel, more than flat, like a wall. And that's going to help you have a smooth, efficient cutting tooth. So you'll set the file into the tooth, and you can start working for that geometry. I'm starting about midway up the tooth. I'm not touching the edge yet because I'm trying to make a nice profile. It's gonna have an efficient cut. So I'll do a few strokes until I work my way to the tooth, the cutting edge of the tooth. And there's a laser etching here. That's what's giving me the angle of my file. It's approximately 30 degrees, and I'm following that with the file. There are guides that you can use. I usually freehand it. And as you cut, you're going to, with the file, I'm letting the file do the work. I'm not pressing in really hard. I'm just taking nice, easy strokes, and it's cutting this tooth away, and I'm getting some metal shavings built up. I'll just tap those out, maybe wipe them off. If you have compressed air, that's a good method to use. Or a file card, that's another way that you could go. One other thing to mention is that I'm angling my file just slightly up to match the angle of the tooth. The angle is going to rise from here up to this cutting corner. So I'm going to try and match that degree. It's only a few degrees, but I'm going to adjust the elevation of the end of my file up slightly to match that. This is a depth gauge, and this is also, it's called a raker or a depth gauge. What you can do is you can put it on top. You can see how much is sticking up above. It should be really just flat across the top. So you can use a flat file once you're done sharpening, and you can bring down the chain depth gauge to the proper height. And that's gonna give you a nice, smooth, efficient cut. That's basically what you need to know to get your chainsaw sharp and cutting efficiently. A couple of things to keep in mind as you go: make sure that your file stays clean, that you're letting the file do the work, and then once you're cutting, you'll always want to use chap pants, and you'll want to let the saw do the work. It's happened before. If a chain is really sharp and you're used to a dull one, maybe it's dull, it's bogging down, you force it through. Once the chain is sharp and you try and force it through, it's going to bog down because it's so sharp. So you really want to let the saw do the work. It's going to save you a lot of energy and time.
Well, hello, Ryan here with Oregon Marketing Group. I'd like to thank Mountain View Tree Service for sharpening my saw. Going to give it a test here in just a minute and see how it cuts and how well they did. I'm sure they did great. I've got all the appropriate safety equipment Jameis mentioned earlier in the video. Got my hat, my earmuffs and face shield, gloves, got my chaps, leather boots. Think I'm good to go. So let's give it a good test and go from there. Like a dream. Thanks a lot, Mountain View.